Faith Forged in Fire, where we dive headfirst into the unique challenges and triumphs that comes with being a firefighter, all while exploring what it means to live out a biblical worldview. Join us as we find hope, perseverance, and faith in the midst of the heat and chaos. Welcome to the podcast.
Steve,
I'm ready for anything.
I'm glad that you love red flannel coffee, but I just wouldn't advise drinking like 2 whole bags of it in one sitting.
It's that good.
That's what happens right there.
And that's what happens right there. So it's good
over there, huh? And then
yeah.
See ya, Chief.
That's called Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah.
The fun starts when the Chief is gone.
Yeah.
That's right.
When the Chief's away, the mice will play.
Let the fun begin. What are we talking about today?
We say that, and then when we crash and burn and just totally run this thing off the rails, Rich is going to be like, that's why I wasn't there.
Exactly. Those guys are
But that's when the fun begins.
Exactly. So. We're goofy by the 4th one. Welcome back to the Faith Forged in Fire podcast, where we embrace the fires that
forge your character.
Oh, beautiful. That was good.
I wasn't expecting you to point at me to finish it.
I know. Good, but you did great, though, man. It was a great.
Thank you. I am trying to focus, and
you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I'm really proud of you. Well, let's for today we have a topic here, and kind of goes along with really one of our.
You ever notice how by the end of the month we sit down and we get straight into it? For the beginning of the month we barely get an episode out, and by the end of the month
we're like,
we just sit down and we're like, hey man, here's our topic. We're done. We're out.
Yeah.
Well, I have.
Why is that? Is a month that rough?
It is. It's a lot of work on top of our lives.
So it probably doesn't have anything to do with the fact
Saving
that we're
lives.
Recording 4 episodes.
Okay, or there's that. Yeah.
In one night.
And everybody wants to get home.
There's
No, we want to.
There's the 4 hours of constant recording that we're dedicating to this.
Yeah, and we're all laughed out by the 4th one too. We're all tired.
Just about
having a good time.
Either we're laughed out or we're just slap happy and we're not making sense. So
either both. No, you know what? Today
I don't know what we have. I'm waiting for you to tell me.
We have our episode today really talks a lot about our just kind of like one of the reasons why we do this show, right? And talking about kind of after the adrenaline fades on the call, like how how did the firefighters handle the emotional and the the psychological and emotional challenges after the big call? Right. And, and we really talk about that in the mental health aspect and how guys deal with things that they deal with on that, especially the rough calls. Right. And you're in the middle of it and you're not thinking about it because you're in the middle of it. Right. And you're working and you're focused on getting the job done. But once it's all over with and you get back to the firehouse or get back home, however that is, and how now you're able to process how you move forward after that happens. And obviously this is one where I'm just really looking at you guys and the Chief too, but as Chief is not here with us today.
Whoa.
Yeah, so there's something wrong here.
Whoa,
you fixed it.
Yeah.
Fixed it. I should have done that earlier in the month.
There's a short in the system.
There we go. It was just really close.
Okay.
I can hear it when you're that close.
So it's really just asking, you guys, because obviously you guys have run the calls. And you guys know this subject very well. So how do you handle it? I mean, and maybe how each one of you guys, Jake, when you were running calls back in the day and Josh, as you currently do, really, how do you process? Especially, like I said, the bad. And I'm really going on the bad calls, right? Because obviously not every call is one where you need to really process.
I wonder, though, Steve, I was thinking about this when I was thinking about this topic. So not to throw a wrench in it.
No.
But even there's a certain part of dealing with the adrenaline let down just when you get a good call when there's no good call to the people listening, but for us as firefighters, that one that so for me, it's no secret on here that I enjoy. Every firefighter has certain things they enjoy, whether it's wildland, whether it's structural firefighting. Maybe they enjoy being on the roof. Maybe they enjoy interior. Maybe they enjoy cutting a car apart and cutting somebody out of a car, whatever it is. Well, in there they have favorites, and mine would be I very much enjoy the challenge of extrication, getting somebody out of a car. And so even let's say you have that, they're fine. You just have you just have to cut them out, right? So you have a really challenging call, and you get them out, and you get through that. So it's not the processing of the trauma, but it's that, again, that letdown of the adrenaline, or if you've done it long enough, it might not be adrenaline, but just that excitement of going back to whatever else it was you were doing that seems much less meaningful, right? So I think I think we need to talk about both, but I was just thinking through this topic and thinking, I think there's another level that sometimes we miss on here, because we always talk about, well, how do we deal with that very traumatic call? But there's the other side of it that's just kind of the letdown of like, oh, I've got to go live everyday life now, and not do this big meaningful thing,
So you're hopped up on the big fire that you're like, all right, let's go, boys.
Right.
Let's get after it, and you get in there and you do your job, and now the call is over, and you get back
and you go back home to the kids, and you're like, I want
to get back at the firehouse with the boys,
right,
get back on the call with the boys, So yeah, I guess it's really, you're right. It's the response, or how you deal with both sides. And here's one I was just thinking about too, is I was you right? You're deep in thought.
No, it was your audio.
Yeah.
I was just trying
I heard it too.
Weird. It is so
I was just trying to determine if I could actually hear you in here, or if I was just hearing you out here.
Weird. There's something wrong with the microphone.
Yeah, I think it's your connection here. We need it.
My connection.
We probably need to get a new.
My connection.
No, you're fine. We probably just need to get a new cable.
My connection is bad. Okay.
I know a guy. Buy more coffee so you can hear Steve.
Or no, don't say that.
I shouldn't have said that.
Do not say that, please. Whatever you do.
Jake's sales is going to plummet.
I hate to announce that Red Flannel Coffee is just going out of business. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh yeah,
Poor Steve.
I know.
Poor Steve.
I couldn't let that one go.
That was good though. No, but I guess there's also too the adrenaline of, I was thinking about this. There's probably the adrenaline or the after effects, even if someone survives, but it was a really rough one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's still a thing there, because you were part of something where, like, man, we could have lost this person. Yes, they survived, but there's still like an after effect. Because, we think about it, maybe it's really easy to talk about when you see something rough, like in Rich's call, the one he had where he had the little girl. It's a bad call and they don't survive. And it's like, obviously there's that call, right? That's just the worst of the worst, right? But then again, you go through on a bad call, you're in the moment, but the person survives, but it's like, oh man, that still was rough.
Yeah.
Either way, that the call was rough. And so I
sorry.
That's okay. And so I think there's got to be the emotional and the effects even of that as well. So I guess you're right. It's like a myriad of calls, right? Different types of calls.
Right.
The bad calls.
Right. Well, so there's I guess, like I was saying, so I'm thinking through. I've had some calls like that where they lived, and in some ways there's more of an adrenaline rush in a sense, or more of this a weird high because you actually did something. Some people would call it heroic. I don't, because we were there, and so I had to figure it out. It wasn't like I necessarily, but we figured it out. And you save a life, and you can literally say, and by God's grace, I'm thankful. I have had multiple situations where I would say, so because there's different layers. There's times, and Rich isn't here, but we've talked about this. There's times where we save lives and we don't even think about it. And what I mean is it doesn't feel like I saved their life, but if I didn't show up, they wouldn't have made it, right? Because I showed up, it was not that emergent, but so you get those. Whoa.
What are you doing? What happened?
That was a weird. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys. This is a really. We got some equipment stuff going on right here.
Weird audio going on.
So anyway, but there are times where you and I've had some of these, and I'm thankful by God's grace that He's allowed me to be His instrument, because it's literally I was just the person that was there, right?
Yeah.
But where you literally can say, I was a part of saving that life.
Yeah.
that person is walking around because of myself. Obviously it was God, but God used myself and whoever else was on that scene. There is a high in a sense, like, I mentioned it, to go from I am doing this meaningful thing, I'm saving someone's life, my mind is in full gear. We talked about it a couple episodes ago, making these split-second decisions. You're in complete focus, you're making fast decisions, you're in high alert with what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then that scene is over, and now you come back to whatever's going on at home, right? I might have to go finish mowing the lawn, or I might be hanging out with my kids. Like,
right.
And it's kind of this like, well, this is not meaningful anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is. It's part of life, and it's where God has you. But even, and I know others have felt this way, maybe not to the extent of, say, military coming back from deployment, but kind of this, like, you even can find yourself sitting in these situations and kind of just finding yourself going, do these people have no clue that there are far greater things at stake in this world?
We've talked about that, especially around like the holidays.
Yeah.
Where especially you get off a tough call.
Yeah.
You go back to the holiday party and everybody's around.
And you're like,
what? There like, yeah.
Yeah, so there's just so many layers, I guess, is what I'm saying, Steve, to all of that. And I mean, it really comes back to where you're placing your emotions, where you're placing your identity, who do you trust? I mean, right? Faith forged in fire. We're here because of our relationship with God. We make no bones about that. No. And I don't know how anybody does this well and stays level without a good, solid relationship with God. People think it's crazy that I do this and I don't drink.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
But why don't I? Well, I don't.
Well, you have a great foundation in the Lord, because
right.
And the guys that don't, I mean, it's like all those answers. If there was a God, why were you allowed this to happen?
Yeah.
Why would this situation happen, and really trying to process, and I'm sure too for a firefighter, it's who doesn't have God, those are moments that they have to now process their own mortality, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be. I mean, I'm sure when you're on a call where someone passes away, and you don't have the Lord in your life, you're probably thinking, wow, maybe someday that could be me and someone running a call on me, right. and then where do you go? Then it's all those natural questions. Where do you go when you die? Do you just become nothing? You just, you know what I mean? And I remember when I was a kid, before I knew Jesus, in my life, I used to think those things as a young kid.
Yeah.
Thinking, man, what do I do if I die? I wonder what happens, right? Because you have no God, you have no foundation in any way. So I'm sure for a man that is a non-believer, you're right. You have to run to something to help process. I mean, not just process. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, processing the call and what you're dealing with, especially if it's like a little kid or something like that. You're really having a lot that's going through the mind. But then again, processing your mortality, processing the big picture on top of it. Yeah. Right.
There's another level, and I know we've talked about it here, and I shouldn't. I feel like I say that a lot, but we have so many new listeners that I'm not afraid to bring it back up, but probably shouldn't have to apologize for talking about it on here. One of the things I've noticed that I process when there's a death, especially when there's a death that I've witnessed, right, as somebody's in a sense died in my hands, which has happened, and I process it heavier the first time, and this is because it was the first time. I mean, I had been on calls where people had died. This is the first time I watched somebody take their last breath. Was the call we talked about forever ago, where he was like, "How do you guys remember that stuff?" Right, that happened right at the corner, and you were helping. I think you were helping your sister. I think that's where you were, but you guys were working on.
I was extricating the passenger.
Yes, yes. When I'll never forget. You talk about tough calls. I'll never forget the chief telling you guys to stop. And I don't know that it was you directly, but the guys who were working on
it was our rescue captain.
The driver, said stop. you're wasting your time, right? And I can't imagine making that call, first of all, because he was still alive. But it was obvious there was no way we were going to get him out of that car, and it was more important that the energy was put on those who were still viable.
Let's clear that up. He was clinically had a heartbeat, but
right.
he was not clinically
exactly.
viable.
No, this wasn't a matter. This is triage. This was not giving up. It was somebody from the outside having the clarity of mind to tell people who wanted so desperately to do everything they could, even though there was nothing they could do to listen. You can't do anything, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying we gave up on somebody, right?
No,
but I just even in that moment, because I've been in those moments now where I'm the guy that has to say, there's nothing else we can like, and that's hard. But I just remember then standing there watching the last heartbeats, and that was the first time that in my mind I went, this kid just passed into eternity.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's
So as a Christian, there's a little bit heavier. Now, by God's grace, I found out that I believe he was a Christian, as best we could know. But now every single time I am with somebody, and it's not, it does happen almost every CPR call where they don't make it. It crosses my mind.
Sure.
But there's just something about when it happens right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or in your arms, or what, like when you're right there, it's just that I was literally in the moment of a soul passing into eternity.
Yeah.
Where did they go?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reliving that call now. Yeah.
It's just you trust God, right? It always makes me thankful for my salvation in that moment.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, that was a. It wasn't just that call, but it was his passing that was like that pivotal moment in my life. That was like, I remember going and, after that, because I didn't go home after that, and that was my very last call. That one was my very last call.
That was your last fire department? Like you were done?
I had already put in my resignation.
Yep.
I'd already turned in my gear.
Oh, so that call didn't do it. It was you were already
I went
leaving.
to that call because it was the last meeting that we had that night, and we were all standing outside waiting for the meeting to begin when we witnessed the accident happen. And I still have a duty to act. I'm still, just because I resigned doesn't mean that I gotta, should ignore it.
Sure.
But that was my very last call as a paid on call firefighter for that department. And that was really that was a turning point in my life. I remember going over to that school and just sitting up on the rooftop and that one bothered me. That was the one. That was the one that it was like you said, you just brought it up and I'm like, man, I'm reliving it already. That's the one that will always snap me back to that moment, the sights, the smells, the sound. Chief coming over. I remember when Chief came over. I remember the look on the kid's face as he was passing. I remember the look on his face when the rescue captain and I approached him. And I know his immediate thought was, we need to get C-spine on him and get him out.
Yep.
And then I was right behind him, and I remember him looking over, and he's like, "Get her out." And so the passenger was right next to him, and so I went around and I began C-spine on her and turning her to get her out, get her backboarded. She was in and out of consciousness, but it gives you that pause, and it really the gravity of it, and the weight of it in that moment. And I'm sure, for veteran firefighters who have been doing this, their whole lives, for some of them, that might not be anything to them. They see it so frequently as a career firefighter.
What's weird, though, is I've experienced that a lot, and there are some that don't stick with me.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting here as we were talking about this, thinking, why? And I think we've talked about this to an extent, but I don't know that we have an answer. Why are there some... And they stick to, this is not what the topic's about, I guess, but
sure.
Maybe it is, but stick with us in degrees. And for some reason, that's one of those. And I couldn't tell you why, because I never felt overwhelmed. I never it wasn't like I was really struggling in the moment. I wasn't really struggling afterwards.
Right.
It's just there, and there's others like that.
Yeah. It wasn't until after, and this is kind of this episode, it wasn't until after the adrenaline went away.
Yes.
Because in that moment, I'm in auto drive.
Right.
I mean,
right.
or
yeah.
autopilot.
Right.
My autopilot's kicking in, and I'm going through all the things medically with the passenger. The reason
See, and
it
I was
stuck
new,
with me,
so I was just standing there taking it. Like,
Yeah,
we
you were-
talked about the Steve
Yeah.
taking it in, so
Yeah.
I was just there taking it in.
Yep.
Trying to grab stuff for anybody that needed it, right?
Yeah.
So I was processing it differently at the time.
I look back a little different on it now, but in the moment, yeah. The reason that I think at least the reason that it stuck with me was, number one, the look on his face and making eye contact with him. And it wasn't just like, it wasn't brief. Like we like held each other's gaze for a moment. And it was this internal realization of I'm staring at him who's so desperately looking at somebody for help.
Yeah, and I can't do anything.
I can't do it. And it's me realizing like there is absolutely nothing I can do for you.
Yep.
And then if that's not heartbreaking enough, going around, because then again, my officer is saying, hey, I got him. We got to get her out because she's going in and out
Right.
of consciousness. She had an obvious fracture. And so there was obviously concern of blood loss and all that and internal bleeding and everything. And so where I look upon it differently now is I'm able to look back because it's unique that I got to serve with my sister. She joined about 4 years or so after I joined. And you have the sibling rivalry and squabbles and all that your whole life. And the one thing that she and I just rocked together was EMS. And it was, we both had a passion for it. We both wanted to give it our all, maybe for different reasons. But I remember it was one of the first times in my life, because she's my older sister, and I remember her looking for me for direction. And we just worked so well together. But the other reason that it stuck with me was pulling the passenger. The passenger was the girlfriend of the driver, and she was holding his hand. And she,
I can still hear her when she'd wake up, crying for him, asking if he was okay.
Yeah, telling him to wake up.
Yep.
And then, so the worst part of that, besides looking at him, realizing there's nothing I can do for him, was having to pull her hand off of him, knowing that was the last time they were ever going to hold hands. And so it was a tough one to end on. That was like the worst to end my career as a firefighter on, was that one. But it was a bit of numbness afterwards. And that's why I went, because it's like, I'm not going to sit, no offense, I'm not going to sit with the chaplain and tell him how I feel.
Most people don't.
I'm not going to, go tell Rich how I felt. And Rich and I have been friends for a very long time. We started, I think, the same year. I remember when he got promoted. I was assigned to him when he got promoted. Or maybe it was a year apart that we started, but it was very close. And so I've known him for a very long time, and we've been very good friends ever since. And even then, we both just kind of had that like suck it up mentality. It was just what it was back then.
Yeah.
And so for me, sucking it up was like, I just got to be alone. Like, don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. Like, that sucked. I don't want to talk to you guys about it. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody about it. And then you internalize it. And that's probably not the most healthy way to do it.
No.
But that was how it was back then.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe that is a really good thing that we bring that up to the point now of Steve's question is, how do we deal with this now? Right. And for one thing, I'm thankful that everything is changing in that there are still people out there that really have that mentality. But now I wouldn't have any problem saying to Rich, hey, man, that call the other day, it's just not sitting right with me. And I can't tell you why.
Yeah.
I'm just struggling. And, he is not going to tell me to suck it up. He's going to be right there.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool, too, is that with this younger generation coming up of, police and law enforcement, I've talked to a lot of younger guys that are in law enforcement, and they are just like the chillest guys ever. Like, they just have this, it's just this better understanding of the human element. Yeah. And that we just either didn't want to recognize, or that we just didn't want to accept. Yeah. Back in the day, it was this, men are strong. You don't cry. You don't complain. Yeah. you suck it up and you move on because we got another one coming up.
Yep.
And this younger generation.
And if you cried and you didn't handle it well, now I can't trust you on the next one.
Yeah, exactly. But I think with the risk of sounding bad, to an extent, there is something about that. And it's not that you can't trust them because they are weak. It's that they're just not in the right headspace to continue doing that at that capacity. It's they either need a break or they need to avoid certain calls.
Right.
Or something like that. So I think there's a grain of truth to that. There
is, except for the fact that how many times were we not fit for a call? We would have been. We just to your point, we internalized it, bottled it up. So maybe even that idea of going, hey man, you need it. You're not running on this call, not because I don't trust you, but because I have your back and I know you need a break and it's okay.
Yeah, it's reframing it. It's reframing it from I don't trust you. Even if that's the case, it's you're just not in the right place for this.
Right.
Regardless. And this is for your safety, this is for my safety, it's for the safety of our community. You just don't need to be on this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you can go, but you're driving.
I think it goes a long ways with the public. I remember I guess it was last summer. There was a baby that drowned, and it was a tough one. And there were. I mean, amongst the firefighters, there were a mix of emotions between the officers, the paramedics, the firefighters. But there were tears. There were there were hugs. There were because you work so hard, you're physically exhausted, you're emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
But when the family sees you're not cold-hearted, when the family sees the tears, I think that goes a long ways. And I'm not saying that you have to, if you walk away, there's times I almost feel bad because I'll walk out of a call and we'll be laughing about something, right? But it's that you have to disconnect from that. We've talked about that a million times on here.
I've been on both ends of that where we were joking around, and it was after. What people don't realize was this was after our patient had left in an ambulance. Mm-hmm. We were cleaning up. It was it was a PI, a personal injury accident, and it was not life threatening for one. I mean, the person left in an ambulance, and I think it was like med 2 injuries. And we're joking around, but then it's that realization of like, maybe that doesn't look good. Like somebody's left in an ambulance and we're out here joking around. And then I've been on the other side of it too, where, we went on basically a recovery effort where it ended up being the dad that found his son who had passed away and he was in the woods. And it wasn't even as much, it was a little bit of everything. It was, it was the dad, it was his son, and 2, it was also the words that the chaplain at the time was speaking to the dad, and it was just breaking my heart, not in a bad way. It was encouraging, and it was loving, but then he got up, and because I had known this chaplain for so long, he got up, and he was just all tears. I couldn't help but be all tears after that, and I think everybody
bring a little context. This is the same person that you talked about a couple episodes ago.
It is.
That was your pastor.
Yeah, he was
so
my pastor,
you knew him for a long time.
So I knew him, on a personal level. He was a family friend. I
have that when I go into chaplain mode, and I've lost, just was it last week? Rich called me to go to a scene.
Yeah.
And I'm fine, right? I'm fine.
Yeah.
But now I'm with the son and another person, and I'm getting ready. They want me to pray with them, so I'm going to pray with them. And in that moment, almost every time I find myself because now it's very personal. You're away from that. It's I can't disconnect. I am with someone who literally 2 minutes ago found out that their mother is no longer with them, right?
Yeah.
And in that moment, it's hard for me. I often have to kind of fight back the tears and those, and I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's wrong, because it shows that care and love to them. It shows them that I'm genuinely hurting for them.
Yeah, certainly.
So yeah, I think that's good. We got to end this thing. We still haven't answered our question. Let's do that. How do we deal with this?
Yeah.
Real quick, to answer your question. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I just had this scripture come up.
Well, okay, so that's it, right?
Here
We
it
got to
is.
turn to the Lord.
Here it is. Matthew 16. Don't run from suffering, embrace it.
Right.
Follow me and I'll show you how. And this is from, the Message, so it's loosely translated compared to the NIV or ESV.
This guy.
Unreal.
Listen, I had to look it up quick, and it was not directly in my Bible, but
really, how do you? I guess it would depend on the call.
Yeah,
Depends on the adrenaline you're talking about. Whether is it the adrenaline of something bad that happened or adrenaline of something fun,
right?
Cutting someone out of a car,
right?
There's nothing other than someone's little
right. Nothing really bad happened, right?
Bad. So I guess it would depend first and foremost on the call.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's rough, how do you really?
Well, it depends on Jake hit it. Embrace those trials, those struggles. They're meant for our good.
Yeah.
I got you, new cable.
God is working in our lives and growing us through that. We talked about, was it last week that we talked about? We talked about spiritual maturity. And I think, when I see a lot of firefighters who struggle, they claim to be Christians, and I believe they are, but they're hardly in the Word, they're hardly in church. Their lifestyle is not a lifestyle of true commitment to God.
Yeah.
So they're not deep. I believe that I am where I am. I have struggled with individual calls for a time. But as I pray and study and process it, talk to my wife, I'm thankful to have a wife she's more than happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
As I do all of that, my depth in scripture, and even now as I've walked through that, even there are certain truths, and we've talked about them here, maybe we need to come back to them again, but there are certain truths in scripture that I've actually written down on paper that are the truths of, like, this is not my fault. This is not a thing I can change. God is the one. If I get to save a life, God gave that life. God sustained that life. I was just the tool. Yeah. If I didn't get to save the life, even if it's a baby, they didn't die too young. They lived the exact amount of days that God had for them.
Yeah.
That's not easy for everybody to understand. You need to be deep in the Word, and it's a deep trust in God and His sovereignty and what He says in His Word.
And even with that truth, and even understanding that truth, it doesn't necessarily make it any easier in the moment.
No.
But then after processing and thinking it through and praying on it, more importantly, praying on it and understanding that truth, it is easier to work past that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, with that kid that was dying and looking at him, knowing he is grasping for somebody to save him, and I'm looking at him realizing there is nothing.
Yeah.
There is no saving him. That sucked in that moment. But to your point, you pray on it, and but that's why it's important to stay in the Word. It's important to have a strong prayer life and a strong support system.
Yeah.
Whether that's your family or your friends or your brothers and sisters in the department or in church.
Let me. So you kind of said it. In the moment, it doesn't necessarily make it easier, but over time, and by God's grace, I would say, in the time that I have been in the fire service, it's been, I think I'm right around 15 years for me.
Yeah.
I have had moments, but I have never had a time of like deep depression, anything,
Right.
But again, so we thinking this through, the reality of it tonight, when we started talking about that call, I mean, just like you said, I saw you get lost, right? I saw it in your eyes. I saw you get lost. I'm there. Yeah. Like as clear as can be in a moment's notice. I might not think about that for months. and in a moment's notice, everything is there.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I've learned I cannot change that. I have made a choice to put myself in those positions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've made that choice.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to whine about that choice.
No.
You know,
no, exactly.
So, and part of that is the way the human brain works. Those things get burned into my brain. There are memories that I will have until the day I die.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yep.
So I don't try to get rid of them.
Right.
I don't freak out when I get them. They don't keep me up at night.
No.
I don't even have tonight when we talked about it. I had no sick feeling.
Right.
What I do think about, and this is again God's grace, but maybe this will help somebody. When we talk, every time we talk about that, I think about the lessons I learned through God and how that call then prepared me for the next and the next, right? So when those hard calls come up, what now comes to my mind is, here's what God taught me. Here's why that call is important to me now.
Yeah.
Because here's how I learned to work through that. And I don't, it's just God's grace. But I would encourage people, how do we deal with it? Do that. I mean, get in the Word and don't fight those memories when they come back. They're going to come back.
No. Well, and that's the thing. Like you said, I was getting lost in it, and it wasn't a bad thing.
No.
It was in really what it is. And it's the strangest thing, because when that memory does come back, I get lost. I can't, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I can't stop. I think the whole thing through again.
I remember somebody popping some tires because they were actually to stabilize the car without warning the lieutenant who was inside the car. I remember him getting mad about that.
Yeah.
Oddly, to this day, if that happens, I think I better let him know. It's just every single detail, right?
I was in front of the car when that happened. Passenger on a backboard working with ALS, and we're about to lift her up onto a cot when I hear this push, and it was like, well, there goes a tire.
And then you probably heard some curse words from inside the car.
I probably did. Yeah, I was a little preoccupied, but what's important too, for me is I was what I would consider in the prime of my EMS days. I was one of the few actual EMTs rather than a medical first responder on the department. I was one of the more advanced level, and who also helped train others and take lead on a lot of those medical calls. And so when I think back, I also go back and look at the things that I did as far as treatment goes, and it's like I did everything by the book. Everything was right. I mean, I was in the prime of my days. There was nothing different that I could do for any other outcome.
Right.
And so now it's when it pops in my head, it plays through all the way, and it's like I can't stop it. Yeah. And then it's just like, it's crazy times.
Yep.
It was,
Yep. So anyway, for those of you who are not firefighters, another one of those glimpses into our heads a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry if that was scary.
But those of you who are, hopefully this did help.
Yeah, I hope so.
Even as we talk through some of this, letting you know you are not alone, because I promise you that you had a call that came back to your mind when Jake and I started talking about one of ours.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this will help you process through that.
And you know what? In all seriousness, if you really are dealing with something and you feel like you have nowhere to go, we are also let us all supposed to be a resource.
Yeah.
And we have fun a lot of times with the podcast about the email address, and we always tease about it. But in all reality, that is there too. If you really are struggling with something, you're having a hard time, you have a call that you've been on that you just cannot deal with, please reach out to us. We will contact you. We will, we'll find you the resources you need. So in all seriousness, ffifpodcast@gmail.com. Really reach out to us, because hey, let's call it what it is. We're human, and sometimes we see things, we deal with things we're not meant to deal with, or we're not really equipped to deal with.
Oh, I've said that, guy. I don't believe. I heard somebody. I forget what the argument was against it, but I don't believe we were ever created to experience the things we experience. And part of that is because we were created to live in a perfect world, and sin messed that up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
yeah, we're all going to handle it differently.
Yes.
We're all going to struggle at some point.
Absolutely. So make sure to reach out to us. In all seriousness, with that is a serious subject, and especially some people that are having a hard time and running to things that are very unhealthy to cope. And then even more serious than that. And so please reach out if you feel like you have no one around that you can reach to. Please reach out to us, because we want to be a part of that. Let God use us. Hopefully, God willing, God can use us to help you out. So
sometimes just writing it in an email. I mean, just like writing it down.
Like therapy.
We're not going to share with anybody.
No.
And
No,
sometimes
never do that.
that's literally all it'll take is, hey, I told somebody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Help me process it through, and I didn't have to worry about them thinking I was weak or unfit to run or anything.
Yeah.
Well, in closing this thing out, PJ, how do you deal with Steve calling you all day?
I come home and I get a good hot cup of red flannel coffee.
And that's what I do. And I get that by going to redflannelcoffeeco.com and using PJ30 to
Great segue, boys.
30% off. We're pros at this now.
I know.
30% off.
He didn't even tell me that was coming.
No,
I know.
it was
No,
just
it was
tossing
great.
it up and
Oh,
hoping he was going to hit it out of the park.
There I did. Woo! And then also, too, wherever you like to listen to our podcast, any of those sources there, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, make sure, subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe,
Follow, whatever.
Make sure like
subscribe,
God really, we really want God, and we pray.
Hey, here's one we don't talk about. If you're on YouTube especially, hit the like button.
Yes.
That actually drives the algorithm.
it does.
Maybe give a comment in there.
Absolutely.
The more activity on a video, YouTube start pushing that out to other people. So it's free.
Yeah.
It's a free way to support us.
Oh, I love it. Well, hey, we'll see you next month. Hey, listen, one last thing. This may be the last show, the last
Pull the
show
plug.
in this studio.
Maybe. We hope.
Maybe.
We hope.
We'll see.
But we may.
We're going to go back to that episode to see how dedicated you are, Steve.
I know.
How do you feel about hauling some furniture?
Good point.
What the listeners don't see is everything back there, all the behind the scenes stuff.
Absolutely.
Wait, hold on.
Lots of stuff.
Back there, that's not Faith, Fortune, and Fire. This is Faith, Fortune, and Fire.
Good point, Jake. No, hey.
Steve's like, I'm not touching that stuff.
No.
That's fine. No, honestly, thank you so much, and take care. We'll see you next month, okay?
Yeah.